Looking at these possible opponents, am I correct? And there's 4 if you win the division that are most likely: Rams, Seattle, New Orleans, Green Bay. Is anybody else I need to consider? Is anybody else out?
Minnesota has a 4% chance.
Okay.
For the 7th seed.
Well, I guess then we need to consider 5 different teams?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's upwards of maybe like 6 or 7 different ways this could go, but there is the top 4: Rams, Seahawks, Packers, and Saints are definitely.
Yeah. According to Next Gen, the last team with a chance to get in is the Vikings at the 7th seed at 4%.
Okay.
That's the last one.
Okay. So, for me, I think Green Bay, their defense is shaky. They have a quarterback making his first playoff start. That's where I want to go. That's who I want to play.
Agreed.
Bring the Packers to AT&T.
Yes. Yeah, I think the Packers would be the team you'd most want to see. Their defense has had some huge issues. Now, I mean, Jordan Love's playing some really, really good football right now. That Packers offense has had some really, really awesome games. But I'm with you. Bad defense, first playoff game for a quarterback on the road. I will take my chances there. You know, when you start talking about a team like the Saints, that's a good defense. That's a defense that could all of a sudden give you some real trouble. And then it's a quarterback in Derek Carr who has at least been there before in a playoff setting. Same with Seattle. You know, you saw what Seattle was able to do to you a few weeks ago. I don't think you really want to see that. The team you least want to see is the Rams, though. Even though you smacked them earlier in the year at AT&T, I think this is a much different Rams team. Their defense struggles for sure. I think it would be probably a barn burner situation, but that Rams offense is absolutely no joke. And going up against Stafford, McSex, Kyron Williams, who might be the most underrated player in the sport right now, that's the team I least want to see for sure.
The Rams are going into full tank mode for this last game because Stafford's not going to play. Williams is not going to play, Kupp's not going to play, and Donald's not going to play against the 49ers.
So they have something to play for?
Well,
They're not worried about their matchup.
The Rams have clinched the playoffs, so they know they're either the 6th or the 7th seed, and they're telling us with those moves they don't really care if they're the 6th or the 7th.
Yeah, they have a 66% chance of being the 6th seed. I guess that's with a victory. And then they have a 34% chance as being the 7th seed.
And they're playing the 49ers, who are also not playing anybody?
Right.
Okay. Well, that'll be interesting. I feel like the Rams are by far the matchup, though. I agree with Chief. I think I might flop New Orleans and Seattle a little bit, but I think the Rams are going to be a 10-win team, or they would be in non-tank circumstances. When we saw them in week 4, week 5, Stafford played, but they were nothing like what the team we're going to see right now.
Yeah, they had Kupp and Puka Nacua, but they didn't have Williams, the running back. So they were not running the ball at that point in time. They went from Dallas to Green Bay, had a loss, had to bye, and then kind of turned things around from there.
They've been kind of doing a cowboy, though, looking at their schedule results, though. They haven't beaten anybody. The Rams haven't actually accomplished something.
I know people get on me about this, and that's fine. The thing that got my attention about the Rams, and we've talked about this, they went to Baltimore and were a punt return away in overtime from taking the Ravens out.
Yeah.
Just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, in this run they've been on, it's been a really solid run for them. But nobody has played the Ravens as well as the Rams have, with the exception of the Browns. I think the Browns played them really. Browns got a victory against them. But it's very, very rare. It was the Rams were the one team that went all the way across the country and just gave them fits.
Mm-hmm.
Should have won the game. Should have won the game.
And the Rams did put up 36 points versus the Browns. Browns, we know, are a really good defense.
They beat the Browns.
Yeah, they beat the Browns pretty good. I think that was Joe Flacco's first game. So that makes some sense. But 36 points versus the Browns, I think, is impressive no matter what. But overall, you're right. I mean, they beat the Saints, and they beat the Browns. And then otherwise, I mean, they barely escaped the Seahawks, but they do get that victory. They beat the Commanders. They beat the Cardinals. You're right. They haven't beaten anybody crazy. But they're just playing really, really good football offensively for the most part. I mean, there's 37 points here, 36 there, 31 here, 28 there, 30 there.
Yeah. And they've had some great moments against you. I mean, I feel like, you know, the Rams are one of those teams that are very dangerous. That's the team that I don't think anybody wants to see right now because of their history, their coach. championship quarterback. I still don't think Stafford's right, and his turnovers are high again this year. But, that's the team to avoid. Now, the 214 says, Gavin, Seattle scares the hell out of me. I want no part of that receiving group again. I just feel like the Cowboys are such a better team, and on that particular day, things did not go well. But I think you would be happy to line that thing back up, have a chance to clean up your mistakes, and based on what you learned about them in that game, probably contain their offense a lot better.
Yes, yeah, and it seemed like you found a plan on how to stop DK Metcalf there in the second half of that game where you put Gilmore on him. So you'd like to think you have a better opportunity from that standpoint. I can't remember if the Cowboys had Hankins in that game or not. But, yeah, I don't think if you see Seattle, you're not necessarily scared about it. But when you're starting to power rank who you'd rather see, I mean, I'd rather see the Packers than the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think the Packers would be the team I would like to see. No Aaron Rodgers there. I mean, there goes that mystique with that. You're talking about a rookie quarterback going on the road, playing. Yeah, he's played well. I just think the Packers. The thing I would worry about the Packers is does McCarthy get too amped up again? Does he make? Does he make it? Do you keep your wits about yourself as the play caller and all these things? You don't get emotional about the game.
I think Aaron Rodgers being out probably decreases the emotions.
I think
so.
Having
done it already last year decreases the emotion.
So.
And Mike McCarthy's an emotional guy.
No,
for sure.
Very much so. Very much so. I think Kellen Moore, the parting of the ways with Kellen Moore started after the Green Bay game. I think the emotions were that high.
Yeah.
Do you guys like the 817, my vote's to exercise the demon like the Rangers and beat the Packers, then beat the Eagles and beat the Niners, and then go to the Super Bowl? Do you guys feel like there would be a revenge factor here against Green Bay? Like you want to get them because of what happened in 14 and 16?
I think anytime you beat Green Bay in a playoff game, it's a great thing because it's a historical franchise. I know they had a year of 20 years, but before that, the Cowboys and the Packers have a great playoff history. Majority of it's gone the Cowboys' way. Yeah. But man, the last few years, Cowboys had the number one seed rolling through that thing. Aaron Rodgers and them came in. Man, it's incredible.
That sucked.
An unbelievable throw that he made on third down there to get them in field goal range. But, yeah, it would be nice to get Green Bay in here and beat them, whoever they have at quarterback.
It would be. Yeah, the shine's come off a little bit with no Rodgers being there. But the other Aaron is still there. Aaron Jones, who's a guy that has kind of crushed Cowboys at every turn, So, yeah, I think there would be something fun there to be like, okay, we were able to beat the Packers.
Yeah.
Okay, 2-4, so beating the Browns by 20 is nothing now. I'm sorry. I got a blind spot with the Browns. I don't consider that a quality win. They've had such a crazy year. I don't know how to look at them. So if I'm wrong on that and I need to give them respect for beating the Browns, then I'm wrong. Okay? You got me, truckwreck.com fan text. Okay, yes, on today's injury report, Brian, Tyler Smith and Tyron Smith DNP, Tank and Jordan Lewis DNP, Malik Hooker and Wanye Thomas were out. Hankins was in the limited group.
Yeah.
So it was a very, very populated list, and there was some, concerning news, and we'll look forward to how these stories track. Is there anything you can add, or when do you think we're going to get Hankins back and how much he'll help?
Yeah, I need to check on Hankins. I know that they were trying their best. The thing while you were gone, we were talking about it a couple different times, 330-pound man with a high ankle sprain. He needs both, he needs his base. He needs both legs. He doesn't play on one leg. So they were hopeful that he was going to be available. I need to circle back, but I know last week talking to them, this was not going to be as simple as, oh yeah, it's high ankle sprain, just go play. They were going to have to work on this one to give him some rest.
Okay, Fehoko activated, Deuce Vaughn on IR.
See, this is interesting because to me, if you were going to do something with Cooks, that maybe you would have found a way to claim him or wait and try to sign him. But now they're going to have to use a roster spot if they, in fact, get Cooks on. They're going to have to, or Cook, excuse me, they're going to have to get him on. They're going to have to move somebody off the roster. So, I don't understand adding an edge at this point. He's really been inactive. He's not going to help you right now. Why have him on the roster? I don't get it.
There was other running back news. Rico Dowdle saying he is expecting to return and play against the Commanders, although the coaching staff's going to have to sign off on that.
They will.
But Mike McCarthy was asked about Dalvin Cook, said, those are questions you're always visiting with and so forth. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him, played a number of games against him when Dalvin was in Minnesota. So I have a great respect for him. And along with the Josina Anderson report, the Cowboys are going to consider it. Seems quite a bit more likely, or at least realistic, with the Ravens being the only other team right now that's reportedly interested. Do you guys expect the Cowboys to get Dalvin Cook?
I personally, I mean, I don't know how they're going to do it. Like I say, I mean, they're going to have to make a roster move. The one thing I know about Dalvin Cook, he's not as quick as he once was. He doesn't pass block particularly well, and he catches the ball great. So, and he doesn't play any special teams. So if he's the third back, or do you try and just put him on the practice squad and use him as a break glass just in case situation? I think Cook probably wants to play. So somebody that's going to give him that opportunity, that's probably where he's going to go.
Yeah, maybe Baltimore's that team. But also just like his running style, which has not been productive, even dating back to last year and certainly this year. The numbers indicate he's a shell of himself.
Right.
Behind bad offensive lines for sure. But he might be dealing with that here from a bad offensive line with the Cowboys in terms of opening up holes. But
no question.
The Cowboys in the outside zone, like that was kind of his thing. That was his calling card. The Cowboys are terrible at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. How about this? 9-4-5, the Rams have the best chance in the NFC of beating the 49ers. Yeah, I think that's like
that for weeks.
That's like a double-edged sword. If the Rams fall to the 7, you got to play them. They can't knock off San Francisco. I think that's the most interesting game or the most interesting development here in the playoff table.
Yeah, and I think we all want, in avoiding the Rams in the first round as the Cowboys, then that means you get the double revenge game of Stafford going to Detroit.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Goff going up against his former team in the Rams.
Yeah.
A double quarterback revenge game in the playoffs. I can't imagine we've had many of those over the years.
It'd be nice if the Rams could, in fact, they could, say they do get the 6th seed and go knock off Detroit and then go knock off the 49ers.
Yes, that would be hot.
Yeah. And I think you could take care of everybody else that's in it would be in the tournament, I believe.